Hello Aries friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my Aries October 2025 Astrology Horoscope Forecast. We've got a powerful month where we've got our full moon. I have Aries rising, so I'm along there with you. In Aries, full supermoon in Aries, really influencing strongly the first 10 days of the month. We will talk about that first and foremost. Plus, there are so many other planets moving through the sign of Aries that I definitely want to touch back on. And we have so many more things to discuss. This is for you if Aries is your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, or any other Aries placement you're listening for. What I'm going to talk about here is part of your astrological picture. Very late degree Aries friends, so birthdays like April 15th through the rest of the sign, or 23-degree placements of Aries through the rest of the sign, I suggest you additionally listen to my Taurus report, as your very late degree friends will benefit from both readings. So let's just hit the big highlight here right from the beginning. I know Aries friends, we are not always the most patient, so I'm going to get to this very specific stuff for Aries first. October 6th, we have 13 moons in the making, a culmination of the full moon in Aries. It is a supermoon, which means that it is closer to the Earth, and in many cases, it will look closer, it will look bigger, and its gravitational forces may be more pronounced. So, fullness, completion, fruition, drama, something building over the last 13 moons, something being exposed or coming out that you may work with over the next 13 moons, something having to do with your time in the limelight, your physical health, wellness, vitality, vibrance, something coming out that you didn't know was there, things that have to clear, things that were hidden that you want to know about, things that were hidden that you don't want to know about. This is a huge time where this heightened visibility for you and your work and how you walk in the world, you and your clarity, emotional release around your autonomy, your independence, opposing this sun in Libra, which is, there's a strong pull here. We've got the new moon on the 21st in Libra. We've got the sun in Libra. We've got Mercury in Libra, we've got Venus moving into Libra as the month progresses. So this me versus we, this push, this pull, this, putting your oxygen mask on first, and that somehow now making your relationships better because this is what was required all along. So all of this is happening, something's coming out. So let's look at the dates here. October 6th, we usually feel full moons 2 to 3 days before and after. But when it's a supermoon, it very commonly is felt even sooner. So I'm putting October 1st through 10th or 11th as the time where this moon may manifest. And it can be very dramatic, for better or worse. This could be sudden fame or recognition. This could be sudden health issue, especially guard your brain and your head and things in your facial head cavity sort of thing. Don't walk under falling rocks or whatever. Obviously, you're not going to do that purposely, but if you don't usually wear a helmet and you have reckless activities, this may be a good time to do that. I think it's probably always a good time to do that, right? But, just being extra cautious here. So this is like a personal rebirth. This is a sudden insight into what you no longer want to carry. It's the courage to move forward. It's the voice that you have been holding back. And some people think Aries people don't hold things back, and that's not true. We may be outspoken, we may be forward, we may be direct, but we also have those things that we are less vocal about. And some of those things may be what's coming up now. Something where you really give a voice to something really important to you as it relates to your individuality, your autonomy, what is required for your physical health, and you taking action on those things. This is a very action-oriented month, especially until around the 21st, because from August 26th until October 21st, we are in a time when, as I like to say, the astrological tides are going out because we are free from personal planet retrogrades and their shadow periods. Big decisions, big purchases, big sales, big launches, your brand new job, your brand new business, your brand new, thing that you've been building that you want to reveal to the world. This moon may be your revealing point. And since the tides are going out, what you launch at this time can go further and wider than it may if you launch the 21st and after, because now the tides are starting to come in. And what happens when you put something on tides coming in? It does not float out easily. It starts to come back to you, right? So October 21st into the middle of December, we're in a retrograde cycle when it will be time to hang out on the beach, see what the waves bring you, curb that need to make things happen. But the first 3 weeks of October is the time for Aries to thrive in that way that we are ready for action, ready to do things. And truth be known, we're still in eclipse season, right? So if you've listened to my reports about the eclipses in September, if you haven't, definitely go back to my August and September reports. They're very, very helpful in understanding the bigger storylines of the Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle. And of course, for Aries, everything is doubly intense because Pisces Virgo eclipses also take place in the Pisces Virgo houses for Aries. So everything that goes on is not only in the signs, but is also in the houses for us. So there's a lot going on there. We're not going to go into a lot of details about that because I did cover it then. But what we need to know now is that since September 21st was the second eclipse, we still are getting eclipse news. We're only 10 days out from that second eclipse in the beginning of October. You know, September may be one of the most intense months of the year, and October is going to carry some of that intensity. And this full moon at the beginning is certainly going to add to the intensity. So, you know, things are going to be really active, we'll say. Now, I could talk more about all of this, but I want to add to the storyline here because Aries has so many long-term transits going through Aries. Chiron for like the last 4 to 5 years. Aries for a really long time. Ceres for months, not very, very long. You know, this is not, not a very long transit, but it's longer than the moon transit. Neptune, recent Aries placement, but will be there for a long time. Saturn popped back into Pisces, but still close enough to be Aries to be influencing for the next several years. So we've got a lot of long and short-term stories. Saturn is rebuilding your life where you're adding a new structure. You're starting new disciplines. You may be reaping the rewards from work that you've done over the last many years. And at the same time, you may be planting the seeds and starting the new discipline for what will be your next storylines. Topics about self-responsibility and discipline for yourself, things that you need, not just doing stuff for other people. Neptune in Aries is about re-envisioning your identity. It's a spiritual process, a great spiritualizer where you become that spiritual warrior. Ceres is talking about taking action as it relates to nurturance, as it relates to self-advocacy or, showing up for people, being a voice for other people. And it's definitely, all of this is, especially Ceres, but a case could be made for all of the Aries placements where you're having a chance to reparent yourself, protect your energy, claim your independence, claim the energy around you, your energy bubble, and, ask the question, how do you feed your fire? And there may be new things coming in that you are excited about. And that's part of what Saturn is bringing to the picture here is, what are these new things or what are these old things that you wanted to do when you were a teenager in your 20s, whatever, but they got squashed because of, adulting. What are the things now that you have time to invest in? How do you feed your fire? That question is going to come up a lot. And the full moon may give you more insights into that. Chiron is definitely reshaping Aries' sense of self. If you are a person that has your Chiron in Aries, then you've been going through your Chiron return. That's a fun time. It's not a fun time, but what it can bring is your next level of spiritual advancement and understanding. It happens when people are around 50. And so if you're going through that, then this is an extra special transit for you. But for everybody else, this is having to do with your deep lessons around your self-worth and your individuality and the courage to heal these identity wounds. And you may have to get brave and do some digging and actually, do some work on these things because they've been a plague to you. And now is the time where you can heal them. So all of this is happening in Aries. We could talk more about that as I was saying, because this is just a very, very big, important, short and long-term series of Aries transits. But we do have more to talk about. So let's get into some of this. Jupiter is seeking to expand your home and family. Hygeia is there supporting healing for your family relationships. From June 2025 to almost July 2026, Jupiter is going to seek to expand your sense of self, your home, improve your home circumstances, and that is actively occurring. In the short term, we have Venus moving through your 6th house. This could give you a little extra boost in money, a little extra project, a raise, some incentives at work. That's exciting. Then Venus will move into Libra. As I said, the sun will be there, Mercury's there, and the new moon on the 21st is also there. This date around the 21st, you can see, is shaping up to be very important. Not only does it show us our tides turning, and when we have to shift into hanging out on the beach and waiting for the waves to bring us stuff in to deal with, and addressing what comes up rather than conjuring, it's also the new moon in Libra, where we can plant seeds for our present and future relationships to have the best relationships possible. Aries people, when we have aspects like this or transits like this with a lot of Aries and a lot of Libra, it puts us at odds with other people. And what our goal is in this whole system of what's happening here, this systematic, movement of the stars, is for us to be able to get more on the same page with people. Aries people in general are not afraid to back down when people are harassing them. And I think in general, having that trait myself, I think it's a very good trait. Also, we may seek to make our lives a little bit easier by, instead of instantly responding with force to the force that is placed on us, we may get more creative with how we find solutions. Because sometimes if we're stuck in defense mode, we're not thinking about solutions, we're thinking about defense. And in some cases, we may be thinking about attack if people are really messing with us, right? So there is this polarity, this push and pull that's going on that we have an opportunity to transcend, to start really just looking at creative solutions, accord, and seeing what we can do to deepen our relationships by figuring out what has to happen for us to be on the same page with people and for them to be on the same page with us. Some people we will discover at this time are not going to be on the same page with us. They refuse, and maybe you're putting your power into trying to do that, and maybe it is time to move on from that situation. But, in general, this is about finding accord. It's about finding harmony. It's about finding peace. It's about getting on the same page and working together. And for October and November, and this happens every year, but we can see the strength of this. We're also going to have Mercury retrograde. And part of that retrograde is going to be through Scorpio, which is a deeper level of relationship. This Scorpio story is very, very strong now and in November. So the sun will get there later in the month, around the 21st, right? This is a big time. Mercury will get there. Venus will get there in November. Mars is already in Scorpio. Mars is our ruler. Mars is in its sign that it co-rules, Scorpio. Lilith is in Scorpio. Okay, so these ongoing Scorpio transits are forcing us into the deep conversations with people that will lead to lasting change. They're forcing us to work through financial and other intimate details about how we can become more empowered in our lives and how we can share power while still maintaining our autonomy and our freedom. Because for Aries people, this is very, very much something that reigns supreme. And with the transits that are happening, there's nothing about these transits that is asking us to surrender our autonomy or independence. And if anything, it's asking us to claim it. But the combination of these factors are asking us to claim it in a way where we can work with people instead of against them, and where they can work with us instead of against us. Legacy topics, wills, trusts, debt, taxes, credit, if you need a loan, investments, all of these topics are going to be very strong in October. And if you have to make some big, permanent, long-term decisions, those first 3 weeks before the 21st will have an easier time of things sticking for the long term. Once you get past the 21st, this may be a reconsideration process. This may be, looking back into things from the past, experimenting with things, but it's going to be a different kind of discussion that occurs at that point. All right, Lilith being here may mean that some resentments have to get cleared up, and it's possible that that full moon can have to do with that as well. There may be some resentments that really just need to come out. They don't have to come out explosively, but they do have to come out, and we just have to be really careful with how we express the things that may want to come out at this time, because there could be a violence to it, and even if it's just words as violence, there's a fervor to it that if we can be mindful, it may be better for us and everyone involved. We'll just put it that way. Now, while this has a lot of intensity, we do have some light things to talk about too. We've got 3 star goddesses, Juno, Vesta, and Astrea, all moving through fellow fire sign. Sagittarius moving through our 9th house of Sagittarius, bringing opportunities for travel, adventure, writing, publishing, teaching, learning, expanding our consciousness, and bringing adventure into our lives. These are sweet spots that are in triplicate at this time, and they can definitely offer some insights and creative solutions to any of the drama that comes up from that water energy with the Scorpio, any of that opposition energy with the Libra, and any of those deeper storylines of expansion that are happening with Jupiter in the water sign of Cancer. Light, fun, airy, we may be able to find some respite in learning something fun or in teaching something. If you're if you're an Aries that has a Saggy side of teaching, this is you as the teacher may want to come out now. So if you want to teach something, if you want to open your own school, if you want to launch a course, this month could be the time. And maybe this Aries full moon may be a good time to do that, where you can see, something that you're trying to birth out into the world coming out in a very vibrant way. This really is an amazing time to bring something out. Pallas Athena, the strategist, moving through Aquarius, moving through our house of Aquarius, is helping us to see how people that we know can be helpful to what we're trying to do and how we can join a community and aid in a bigger picture situation. Community-based, internet-based, social-based, and that's a nice angle for Aries. So all of that is happening at the same time. We've got about 16 salty aspects with the usual planets that we look at, and they're scattered throughout the month, but we do have 2 times of respite, October 8th through the 14th and October 24th through the 30th, when we have a massive amount of sweet aspects piled up in those spaces that can help alleviate some of the other nuisances that occur throughout the month. This is definitely a social time, and you may find that you're interacting with a lot of key people, either for business, romantic world, your friends, your family. This is a time when you'll be connecting with a lot of people, and this is like camaraderie, kindred spirits. The air energies that we have going on from the Aquarius and the Libra are bringing, a meeting of the minds, and Mercury in that placement is assisting that process, where it can be very exhilarating and very inspiring. And you may find that all of this Aries energy, including the full moon, is, helping you catch fire to be re-inspired for something, or have a new inspiration, or help your inspirational capacities to go further. One more note about that full moon: it is at 14 degrees, and all of us can feel that placement, but the closer you are to 14 degrees, the more it may be more intense or more noteworthy. And that is going to be, we'll say 9 degrees through 19 degrees, with 14 degrees, as the closest hit there. And that's going to basically be the first 10 days of April, with the 4th, 5th, 6th kind of being 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, maybe in the closest zone, spreading out to those first 10 days or so, maybe like the last couple of days of March may feel that too. So, if you're there in that zone, you may see this more obviously. That doesn't mean that the rest of you won't experience it, because it's a big deal and it is a supermoon, and, we do have all this other corroborating Aries information being streamed to us. But yeah, if you're in that zone, then definitely take extra precautions and look out for extra outcomes. If you love astrology and you want to learn how to read charts for yourself, your family, and friends, or to help other people and earn money by doing this, go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, to see my very comprehensive astrology certification course. I have over 100 modules in this course. I've built it over many years, well over a decade, and it can take you to your goals with astrology. If you want to see how the changes in the outer planets of late will affect your personal chart, go to Annie B. Clarity, Annie, the letter B, clarity.com, and see my personalized report, the Outer Planet Transit Report. If you want to have more free stuff from me, most of the work that I do in the world is free. And if you want more stuff, go to anniehelpsyou.com. Put your name and email address in there. Join my free VIP community. You will get all of my content early this way. You will get my eclipse resource page, the retrograde resource page, Zodiac Health Tips, 28-day virtual coaching program, and my weekly newsletter, including mini astrology lessons and my sweet and salty dates, very comprehensive newsletter. In the welcome letter, there are instructions on how you find that sweet and salty date newsletter. So you can find that there, where I talk about those sweet, ranges of time. I'll go drill into what the aspects are, what you can expect from them, what you can do with them, and the ones to be most awareful and careful of. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.